All right, how you going? It's been a bit. My apologies for that. Um, but I'm back. Yeah, another couple of piece of advices, and these three-parter series. I'm thinking is 2022 in review. I know it's March now, so it's a bit late, but I want to run through a couple of things, a couple of key events and learning areas in 2022. And I guess today's topic will be revolving around the learning curve, and it's about staying in the game and how crucial that piece of advice has been for me, particularly last year, and how I think it can help you as well. And so, just I guess for you to know, I've always found it difficult to stick with new learning experiences, no matter what they are. They often feel like super complex and layered problems, but that's how they're supposed to look, right? The best advice I've heard with this topic, and I've seen it hold true in my experience, particularly last year, is to stay in the game. And I got that from my life coach, Peter Williams. Shout out, he's the GOAT. Check him out. He's got amazing value to add to this world, and he's really helped change my life. And I guess I'll mention this later more, but when I say to stay in the game, what that means is stay in the game to whatever capacity you can. Stay in the space of the hobby that you're working on, or the business venture that you're working on. If you have an arts hobby, maybe like drawing, the many responsibilities of life can kind of get in the way of you sticking to this hobby consistently. And if you go a couple weeks or even months not practicing that hobby, you'll start to think you've lost your love or your passion for the hobby. And it's one of those things that normally has you feeling stimulated and excited and focused, but you feel like you've lost it, which is innocent. It's what the mind does. It's unfortunately, it's like an attraction thing. If you're constantly engaged in something, you're going to be more attracted to it. But if you go some time without it, there is a loss of attraction there. But staying to the game, or staying in the game to the capacity that you can simply look like creating time for drawing in amongst the chaos of all your other responsibilities. Like, for instance, this could be spending some time drawing on the bus or on the train to work, because the drawings don't have to be anything amazing. You shouldn't put unnecessary pressure on yourself to draw them to be anything but practice. And obviously, because you love drawing, this way you are consistently stimulated with the hobby. You're practicing it and you're improving it, instead of having an entire day blocked out for it. You create time during the week where it's, okay, I have just an hour here to do it. Better get started. And I guess as you notice improvement, and particularly how regularly you're able to do that, it actually brings you more motivation to continue drawing at an increased capacity and consistency. I also think it's like going to the gym. You get so motivated about going to the gym. You sign up, you maybe go like 4 to 5 times a week. And this is actually what I did last year. I went like 4 to 5 times a week, coming back into the gym, which I, stopped going for like a year, because I had a gym at the footy club. Didn't really feel like I needed to, but I was like, yeah, I want to get back into it. I'm motivated at the moment. I went like 4 to 5 sessions a week for the first couple of weeks and burnt myself out. Like, absolutely, destroyed myself. But if I set like realistic expectations to start with, it would have been a much smoother transition into it, and I wouldn't have burnt out. And also, I guess another way to look at it is, it's like, think of yourself kind of like a plant. I don't know. It's a weird way of looking at it, but let me dive into it. It's like growing a plant. The first couple of days of growing the plant, that you're gonna be on the ball with it, because you're inspired, you're motivated, and you recently bought it, and you have this new venture to explore. And you might even water the plant too much because you're so excited and so motivated. However, as life gets in the way, you may forget about the plant, and then all of a sudden a week or two has gone by and now the plant is dying, and then you feel shame because you feel like you failed the plant, and you feel like you failed yourself. You didn't stick with that habit. You feel like a failure, which is silly, but that's how we feel. In this moment, you often forget why you got the plant in the first place and what purpose you got it for. What purpose does it serve you? And as soon as you feel like you've failed at something because you haven't kept up with it for an X amount of time, remind yourself why you started this hobby in the first place, why you started to do this in the first place, what purpose it serves as you, what purpose does it serve you. And to summarize, I guess to keep any passion alive, you need to add fuel to the fire to keep it burning. Don't just expect to keep it burning. Don't expect it to keep burning without sources of fuel to support it. Like I had a session with Peter, my mentor, my coach, last year, and it might have been year before even. And I was telling him about struggles I was having with Path to Peace, and I went into a bit of a slump and I was just not motivated to do it, right? Which felt weird, and it felt like it was a failure. And particularly with the nature of Path to Peace, it is about helping people, right? And so you feel like a failure if you don't feel like helping people all the time, or you don't feel like producing content all the time. And how he approached it for me was he made sure for me to list, or to actually, he just asked why to every question that I was asking him, or every question that, every answer that I was giving him back. Because he was saying, oh, why do you feel burnt out, blah, blah, blah. Or why do you want to be more consistent with Path to Peace? And I'd tell him why. And he's like, why? And then we just went down the hole of why. And it came to Path to Peace is about helping people, and I like doing it. It fulfills me. That's the why. But for some reason, you kind of lose that along the way when other stuff gets in the way, and when you become not motivated, or when you don't keep up with it consistently, whatever it is, you forget the why. You forget the reason as to why you're even doing it, which is so cool. It's such an important thing to remember. So keep that fire burning and remember the why. Because of course, like everyone else, like I'm not immune to the compulsory responsibilities of life. But, there's times where if I don't do any Path to Peace work for some time, I've lost a love or passion for it. And that's kind of what happened last year. But I've understood that, kind of tweaked my mindset with it, particularly this year. As we got down to that why question, I even started writing this piece of advice after a couple months of no Path to Peace content, because I needed to keep that fire burning. And no matter what is going on with your responsibilities in life, you need to keep that fire burning. For others, the fire may never lose its flame. You might always have that motivation. For others, it requires consistent fuel and to keep it burning, and that's okay. That's something I've identified for myself. It's not something you need to completely occupy your time thinking about. Weekly, you can kind of just access which pockets of time you have to just kind of stay in the game for whatever hobby or passion you're pursuing. But then again, it can spontaneously come about. And so embrace that motivation that comes out of nowhere. Do not push it down. It really is a genuine feeling when you get that motivation or inspiration. Also, I want to talk about the placement I went on last year. Obviously, I'm studying primary teaching and I work with a year 4 class. I'm term 4 last year in 2022. And whoa, like that was a huge learning curve in and of itself. Like it was so overwhelming at times, because you start off and you see how the teacher's managing all these different things and you're like, how am I going to do this? And like, you want to make sure that the kids are liking you and that the teacher's liking you as well, and that you're able to make some sort of value in this 10 weeks. And you're venturing into an uncharted territory, which is scary for anyone to navigate. But, I stayed in the game. I just kept showing up, and I ended up learning and enjoying so much. It ended up kind of solidifying that's like an area where I want to work in life, in the education and working with kids, because it's an experience I'll always be grateful for. And I feel better about the next one, which is coming up in term 2. Like I remember in the first week of it, I had so much anxiety and so much stress, and it wasn't even just placement. I had other things outside that were kind of all putting pressure on what I was trying to do as a teacher. And it was so hard. I remember tearing up in class and needing to like get out. And it was intense, man. Like I needed to just get out of there at one point, but I, shaped up, came back in, and I just told myself, let's just stay in the game for the rest of this term. Just stay in it. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be at any level yet. You're just supposed to be yourself. And I was myself during that time, and I made sure to show parts of myself. And that was huge for the kids. They really enjoyed me being there. I was able to teach them some really cool stuff, and I was able to get through the obviously the curriculum stuff, but also teach them some other stuff as well, which was really cool. And I had my own spin on it that they enjoyed. So yeah, stay in the game, man. That's a pure example right there of why you should stay in the game. So particularly with motivation, and I'll kind of end on this point. Particularly in 2022, I found it's not necessarily a concrete feeling, and that's okay, right? We expect to always be motivated with the things we love, but if there's a lack of balance in your life, then the things you love will be negatively impacted. My general advice, and I've mentioned it before, is stay in the game. Stay in the game to whatever capacity you can. It doesn't matter how much time you can create during the week for it. Stay in the game. Keep that fire burning. When you experience plummets in motivation, look at it as an opportunity to remind yourself, like, why are you doing something? What purpose does it serve you? How does it fulfill you? Just because you don't feel motivation for something doesn't mean that it's no longer there. It's just time to recalibrate. But yeah, thanks for listening in. Got the second part. I want to film straight after this because I'm feeling good. I'm feeling motivated. But I hope you found something from this. And yeah, stay in the game. It's a beautiful thing when you have a hobby and something that you enjoy doing. The key thing is to stay in the game and continue to do it because of why you want to do it, because of what purpose it fulfills for you. So yeah, I'll see you next time.